Mark Schlereth is joining us from New York. It's interesting because I had this rant. I said I never thought Aaron and Favre had any personal similarities, but they both won a Super Bowl at 27. They both had offensive coaches. They both went to the Jets. Yeah. They both tried to save the franchise. And the cautionary tale about both Aaron and Favre, all-time iconic quarterbacks, is you can't save a poorly run franchise. And between coaching and personnel and ownership, the Jets, if you have to go to a franchise to save it, it's not going to work. Mahomes took an excellently run franchise and was icing on the cake. Denver, by the way, the Craig Morton Denver teams, the Orange Crush defense, they were a good franchise. Elway took them to another level. So I look at the Jets and I'm like, it's a cautionary tale. Green Bay's well run. The Jets aren't. And as great as Favre and Aaron are, a quarterback can't save a mess. What do you make of Aaron's year in New York?
Yeah, well, I will agree with you on that. And I always say this, I learned a very valuable lesson. I was working one summer construction, and I worked as a plumber's apprentice, and I dug a trench. And the plumber told me, I'm going to teach you everything you need to know about plumbing. And he said, crap flows downhill. Make sure the trench is trenched properly. And that's how an organization operates. If your ownership is bad, if they're disconnected, if your ownership isn't in charge or they're meddling, you know what? It flows downhill and your organization will never, ever be any good. So ownership starts it. It's the start. It's what needs to happen first and foremost. So a quarterback is not going to roll into your organization and fix the ownership. If the ownership is garbage, guess what? Doesn't matter how good the quarterback is, he is not going to change the culture of that organization. So, it's just really interesting to watch this whole thing play out. And the whole, debacle or farce that was, I'm coming back. I think anybody who knew anything about injuries was like, there is no way that dude is going to come back and play. And ultimately, from an organizational standpoint, if they let him come back and play, then you would want everybody should the NFL should just take the franchise away from the Johnsons and go, we're just going to give this to somebody who can manage it properly, right? So it's the Jets. That's all I can say is it's the Jets, and I really love to see them because I love Robert Saleh as a friend and Aaron Rodgers as a friend, and I'd really love to see this organization that just feels snake bit to me do something special, and it's just unfortunate.
Yeah. Back to your plumbing and ditch story. Chicago, Jets, and Cleveland can't get quarterback right. We always blame the quarterback. It's upstairs. There's a common thread on three organizations in this sport. Chicago, Jets, Cleveland. Can't get the quarterback right. You have to go to Namath, McMahon for an hour, Bernie Kosar, Brian Sipe. Why? Because the organization, you cannot save a terribly run organization, even if you're Aaron Rodgers or Brett Favre. Now, let's go to the Denver Broncos. So I think they're going to win out. I thought Detroit was a tough mark for them. I thought they were going to lose there. Not that badly. But there's a moment when Russell, Wilson, and Payton, Sean's barking at him. It's not something you see regularly. Generally, Elway had his problems with Dan Reeves. I don't remember a lot of barking, but there's a lot more cameras now. On your Denver radio show, what side did the fans take? What was the reaction?
Oh, the reaction was, Sean Payton is a dictator. He owes Russell an apology. What he did was totally inappropriate, and on and on and on. There's a bunch of bleeding hearts out there, and I'm like, hey, listen, this is just standard operating procedure on a sideline for between quarterbacks and O-linemen and quarterbacks and wide receivers and coaches, and it's just the way it works. And I don't know the context, and we never will, because Sean's not going to tell you the context. I don't know what went down on the sideline to get Sean so fired up, but to me, it's just that's a much ado about nothing. That's the way things operate, and I don't know if it was one of those situations where Russell came off the sideline and said, hey, we should have gone for it there, and questioned the authority of the coach, and the coach got into him a little bit. I don't know what went down, but I do know Sean, when it comes to coaching and when it comes to managing his football team, there's nobody above getting barked at. And so, for me, that was not a big deal at all. And, I've been on the receiving end of a few of those, and I've been on the giving end of a few of those. So, it's just the way it goes sometimes.
Okay. So we get to a point now where I kind of feel like I know what everybody is. But Buffalo did something. So I love Josh Allen, but I had been saying this for a couple of years. Your quarterback can't be Superman. He can save you about 3 times, even Elway. John didn't win until he had Terrell Davis. And we all know John's an all-timer. But I watched Buffalo in the last 3 to 4 weeks with James Cook. And I got to tell you, they do look like those Elway teams. They do look like those Big Ben Steeler teams. That the quarterback's great. And you remember this. John would be great, but John was known as fourth-quarter drives. He wasn't called first-quarter Elway. Right? You were on those O-lines. John could save you late if necessary. But I look at Buffalo now, and I didn't feel this last year or this year. I would not be shocked if they won a Super Bowl. I think this team, this is what a Super Bowl team looks like. Your takeaway on what Buffalo's become in the last 3 weeks.
It's interesting, Colin, because I've been saying this for a while in regards to Josh Allen. In Buffalo, there's too much of this ability or there's too much of this belief that let's lay it all on our quarterback and absolve everybody of any responsibility. Just put it all 100% on his shoulders. And I don't think you could play football that way. I think, if you ask the quarterback to play on the high dive the entirety of the game, there are going to be times when that quarterback is going to falter. There are going to be times when that quarterback is going to make mistakes. I think you owe it to that guy to take him off the high dive. If it's 65 plays, 15 times, he should just be off the high dive. And what I mean by that, a lot of times the offensive coordinators will call that breather plays. Yeah. You know what? You're responsible for so much. You're responsible for all the motions and all the shifts, and you have to know, the final formation. Then you have to read the defense. Then you have to throw it to the right guy based upon the defense that's presented, going through your progressions. And, we're operating in spread the entirety of the time. So now it's all check with me stuff. And you have to read the defense and decide whether it's going to be a run or we're going to check to the pass based on the look we get and all this. It's not only physically exhausting, but it's mentally exhausting. And sometimes you just need to have a tank play where you say 19 handoff force, doesn't matter what they're in, we've got it blocked. I turn around and hand it off to the running back, and I live to fight another day. And I don't have to think about anything. And I've talked to a bunch of coordinators that say, you've got to do about that about 12 to 15 times a game just to give the quarterback a breather. And I thought that the Buffalo Bills have played with their quarterback on the high dive for 2 years and never given him a break. And I think the last 3 weeks, they've given him a break, and they're going to reap the benefits of doing that. Now, do they get in the playoffs? I don't know, but I could see them winning out here and being a very tough out in the AFC.
By the way, your greatest accomplishment as a broadcaster, because you're a heck of a football player, is being able to stay awake in last week's game as the Panthers beat Atlanta 9-7. I congratulate you. You must have funneled through about 9 Red Bulls, but congratulations on a stirring 9-7 walk-off, Mark. Your great, your crowning moment. It was not fun.
I had a blast doing it because you get to. Kind of talk about the game and then see if you can make things up and throw some things in the broadcast that is just for you and the crew to enjoy. So, I worked a couple of things in there that, I patted myself on the back afterwards and felt like it was a great broadcast.
All right. This week, Colts Falcons. Good seeing you, buddy. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.